Hello. My name is Tim Simonon from Bomb the Bass. No, I didn't vanish. I mean, as you were saying, I was working a lot with other people. I started the fourth Bomb the Bass album back in '98.
Yeah.
If everything obviously went to plan, I would have finished it that year, or maybe in '99.
Yeah.
But those 2 years, I was just feeling exhausted. You know, I was working non-stop with a lot of different artists, and by that time, I just felt like I needed to rest. And that was roughly about the same time I moved away from London to Amsterdam, which is where I still live now.
Yeah.
Just to basically take a break from making music, you know. And it was only within the last few years, you know, that I started getting inspired again by new music, you know, and actually wanted to finish the Bomb the Bass record, you know, because it's been something that has just been in the back of my mind, you know, on and off throughout these years.
Yeah.
I mean, am I going to finish this record, you know, or is the project still going to exist even, you know?
Yeah.
So even though I have sort of drifted in and out of trying to finish it, you know, the last few years, it was like a real big desire for me to actually wanting to finish this record, so that I can actually move on with my life. You know, and not have to explain myself anymore to people going, it's on the way.
It's done now.
It's actually done now, you know, so I can actually, I can move on and actually make the next one.
Yeah, cool.
A bit of both, like the Jon Spencer track on there was recorded from the original session, a track called Fuzzbox.
All right.
That was the only song that remained from the first Bomb the Bass session back in '98.
Yeah.
The newer tracks like Butterfingers and Black River existed probably for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
You know, in the last year and a half. And the Paul Convoy tracks have been on and off for the last 4 to 5 years. So it's been like a collection, literally, from the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But the key was to try to get it all to sound like it's all made within the same time.
Yeah.
You know. For me, that's when the fun begins, actually. Also, you know, receiving the song, but then, for example, the backing track that Mark Lanegan sang on had a very simple beat and a guitar.
Yeah.
Which obviously the guitar is non-existent anymore, you know, but because of his movement of his voice, the instrumentation was so small against what he was doing.
Yeah.
So it had to be brought up to his standard, basically, you know, and that's how these things work. You know, you have to see, you know, it's about give and take constantly, you know, until you find the backing track that suits the voice. In this particular case, the visuals are very important, I think, to the audio, what's going on. And the two guys who are part of the visuals team are two brothers from Switzerland called V-Scratch. And the idea is that they match the visuals to the Bomb the Bass music, and that is the form of the show, really. You know, it's the Bomb the Bass music sort of meets V-Scratch, the visuals of V-Scratch. That's the idea.
All right.
part of it. But I do also see a lot of hope
Yeah.
on this record. You know?
Where?
I think, well, lyrically, I mean, like on tracks like Black River,
Yeah.
Hold Me Up, No Bones. You know, these are tracks that are, to me anyway, quite hopeful. And Butterfingers, I think, is a very light record, even
Yeah.
though the instrumentation might be a bit obscure.
Yeah.
I was doing a phoner, I think, yesterday, and a guy, and he described the album like it was made in a spaceship. You know, someone had just come out of a spaceship. You know, and that was his imagination of how this album sounded. You know, it sounded like a UFO made it. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So you would be an alien then?
Yes, and I took it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. You know, I thought that's nice. But people hear things in completely different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that has always been about the beauty of music. You know,
Yeah.
people always have their own interpretation about lyrics, and about just the actual feel. You know,
Yeah.
of each of these songs, and I like that about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Technology and gasoline. My future don't smell like magazines. Oh,